Welcome again. My name is Erica Haskins. I'm the CEO of 3-Day Startup and like to welcome you to our Fireside Chat and Q&A session with alumni this evening, all centered on the Austria to Austin exchange and the application that's now live. First and foremost, I would like to turn it over to Aaron Robertson, a representative from the Embassy in Vienna, for some opening remarks.
Thanks, Erica. I hope everyone can hear me. We are so pleased to have you with us tonight. Austria to Austin is one of the Embassy's flagship exchange programs. As you know, in the United States, entrepreneurship is always a key priority for us as Americans, and we have a very strong bilateral trade relationship. And this program and the alumni from this program do play into that. So I appreciate your interest and I wish you good luck as you start your applications, and being here is a key part of that. And I want to thank, Erica and the 3-Day Startup team for all of their work. And this is the 6th year, this is going to be the 6th iteration. We're calling it A2A 6.0. And you guys have always done a great job in facilitating this program and helping us. We have a great alumni network. And I also want to thank from my team, I am one of the 2 Americans here on the public diplomacy team at the Embassy, but we have 11 stellar Austrian colleagues who do a lot of the work, most of the work and all the heavy lifting. And so we have Christina and Karin and Julia from my team that are here tonight, and they're playing a role here at the Embassy to facilitate this. And you will be, hopefully if you get selected, you'll be meeting all of these people, including myself. So I'm sorry we don't actually have a fire. I was thinking fireside. We should have put like a little fire logo or fire video up, but this is a great cozy concept. I actually don't know if it's a concept in Austria, but in the United States, a fireside chat's a great opportunity to get to know each other, to ask questions, and to become more familiar with everything. So I think it's a really great concept. So I think, let's see here, I think that's all I wanted to say. I do want to hand it back over to Erica, who's going to run it. But again, thank you so much. Feel free to ask, any questions you want. Best of luck as you begin your application process, and I'll keep my fingers crossed for you. Thanks so much. Good luck.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Erin. All right. Let's jump in a little bit about how we'll spend our time together this evening. So 3-Day Startup, I will share some details about the program. Just want everybody to have some information, if you haven't done a lot of research yet, about what Austria to Austin is and what the exchange program entails. And then after a few of those details, we'll introduce 4 extraordinary alumni and jump into a conversation with them about their experiences in the program, the ventures and the ambitions that they have had and pursued post-program and what it's meant to them. I will lead with some questions, but starting now, feel free to insert anything you want to ask of an alumni of this program into the chat because we will pose that to them, and we'll get you all as participants involved in the conversation as well. All right, so a little bit about 3-Day Startup. We are the organization that hosts Austria to Austin, or we have the last 5 years or 5 cohorts now. We are a nonprofit organization based in Austin, Texas. It's our home. We were founded in 2008, and our mission is to create opportunity and build community through entrepreneurship education. And we do that in many different ways with partners around the world, one of which being, and one of our strongest partnerships being with the U.S. Embassy in Vienna. And we feel really privileged to be able to do it again this year and welcome a cohort of young Austrians like yourself to visit Austin, to learn about entrepreneurship, and to build a network here locally that can support you professionally and in your entrepreneurial endeavors. So that's what Austria to Austin is all about, and that's kind of our take on it as an organization. So the exchange is titled the Student Startup Exchange, and a question that we often get is, do I have to have a startup? Do I have to have a company to be a participant? And the answer is no. The way that we think about the word startup at 3-Day Startup is any idea that's in search of a business model. And if you're here today, you probably have an idea for some solution, or you've seen a problem, or you have something that you're passionate about, and you're naturally innovative and curious and creative, and you think that it could be a venture or business someday. And that's exactly the type of participant that we want to attract to this program. Someone who thinks that entrepreneurship and solving problems is really cool, and that can be used in really positive ways for creating economic value, social value, uplifting communities, and bringing people together. And that's who we want to be participants in the A2A exchange. High-level overview of the 2-week exchange. So what happens? How do I spend my time if I'm selected into this cohort? What am I doing in Austin, Texas? And it's a really nice blend of activities that we support and engage participants in. Part of it is workshops and trainings. We want you to have educational experiences as participants with US-based leaders, with the 3-day startup staff, with educators in Austin, Texas from the US that are experienced in entrepreneurship, innovation, and design. Particularly in this year's instance in social entrepreneurship, social innovation, and circular economy. So clean tech, climate technologies, and achieving sustainable development goals. So there's a focus around that. We also want you to have an ecosystem tour. We want participants, the cohort, to meet the variety of players in the entrepreneurial ecosystem, whether they're on the finance side, they are directly operators, they're entrepreneurs themselves, very maybe advanced entrepreneurs, or just getting started in the Austin ecosystem. And then educators and other entrepreneur support organizations. We want you to have a feel for all of it, to see what it's like and to immerse you in it. We also want to give you a cultural experience. Austin, Texas is a hub for creativity and music and activity, especially as it is booming as an entrepreneurial city. And we want you to take part in that, in music, in some of the museums and the arts that we have to offer as a part of the exchange experience. And then last, but definitely not least, professional networking. We know you are ambitious individuals with career aspirations, with ideas for ventures. You want to talk to people about those ideas and get advice and build networks. And so we certainly want you to have access and know that you have ongoing access to those people, to those groups in Austin, Texas to support you, because we certainly do. And so we'd love to build those bridges for individuals in the cohort while they're in Austin, Texas, so that the impact lasts even beyond the exchange experience. A quick rundown of what you can expect should you be selected into the cohort for this year's exchange. First and foremost, there is no cost to participants to have the experience in the cohort for the exchange. That includes travel, includes accommodation, a stipend for meals, and also some activities. Should there be any group activities like a museum visit, some type of tour or a concert, those would all be provided for you. So there's no burden of cost for anyone to participate. There will be ongoing support, guidance, community with the 3-day startup staff. We want to be, and we take pride in being very close with the cohort, building relationships and friendships with the cohort, both before you leave, while you are in Austin, Texas, and after the exchange. That's very important to us, and we really value it. There will be a very structured schedule of programming, and it will be a busy 2 weeks. We want you to have the most out of your time with Austin, Texas, but it'll be a nice blend of educational activities, cultural activities, and as you see as a bottom bullet point, some free time also. So you have fun exploring the city, seeing things that you are most interested in with the cohort and the friends that you are making. And then we'll also be very intentional about building community among the cohort. I think that our alumni may speak to this later, of the friendships that are developed through the exchange experience are one of the most valuable things that participants say they take away from the experience. And so we will do whatever we can to build that for you, so that you have 19 extraordinary professional connections and friendships leaving the exchange. So that's what you can expect from us and the exchange experience. All right, so without further ado, what you came for, the highlight of this Fireside Chat, we have 4 alumni joining us this evening who are incredibly successful, doing really neat things, and quite photogenic, as you can see from their photos here on the slide. So we're absolutely delighted they give us time. I would love to turn it over to them now, and perhaps we start with Kareem, just to introduce yourself to the group, what you're working on right now, and let's just go down the line from left to right, and then we'll jump into some questions.
Perfect, thank you. Hey guys, so my name is Kareem. I'm one of the co-founders of the climate tech startup Team Climate. We're helping businesses and individuals to track and reduce their carbon footprint and to offset their unavoidable CO2 emissions by supporting United Nations certified climate protection projects. And we're on the market since 6 years now. We're right now 15 people in Vienna and Berlin. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. And yeah, looking forward to your questions, and good luck with the application for all of you.
Claudia,
all right, should I continue?
Yeah.
Awesome. So hello everyone, Claudia, my name. I'm the founder of Now and Next. So we are in an agency focusing on innovative, future-proof solutions, but also enabling companies to offer more sustainable, friendly mobility solutions. And very happy joining today. And I'm also a lecturer of innovation and a lot of other roles, which I'm very happy to share with you tonight.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sophie. I was in the 3rd cohort from A2A together with Karim. Currently, I am head of support at Novit 20, and we are a startup, and we're doing PCR pooling administration software. So what we're basically engaging in is software that helps schools and kindergartens to administer their PCR tests and keep them safe. And we're now venturing into the German market, and that's basically where we operate. And we really want to go international now. So that's kind of the outlook for us. And yeah, I'm really happy to chat with you today and answer any question you have.
Hi, it's great to see you all. My name is Stefan, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of a company named Druckster. And what we do is we are actually a free and on-demand printing service for university students. So university students can use us from the first day that they start studying to print all of their slides, lecture notes, etc. And the interesting thing is that we are actually creating a job market around these documents. So from the first day that you study, you can connect with relevant companies, relevant jobs, internship opportunities, and that's what we've built. And I'm also very excited for all of your questions, and very happy to be invited today.
Wow, that was wonderful. We could talk all day about the things that you all are working on. That's just really exciting and innovative. I wish 3-Day Startup could take credit for all that you've gone on to do, but and we certainly can't, but it's awesome that 3-Day Startup got to be a small part of that journey. So let's talk about the journey. A lot of the participants here are in different phases, maybe of their education, of their career path, of thinking about entrepreneurship or ventures. I'm wondering, actually, Claudia, if we could start with you. Talk to us about, when you saw the opportunity to apply and then were accepted to the A2A exchange, where were you? What was going on in your world? And what made this a really good opportunity for you at that time?
So back then, Stefan and I were in cohort 2. So It's been a while. And I was actually an innovation manager at the Austrian Federal Railways. So working at a big corporation. And I think what was most beneficial for me is to really get into it without having maybe your own business idea, but having more of this mindset. So it doesn't matter if you are a founder, if you are already into the scene or not. I think it's really about that you want to create something, that you're enthusiastic, and that you have kind of this passion in changing something. And I think the big value of this program is like having kind of a goal or a mission, saying maybe I go to Austin because I want to get inspired by an idea, as Erica said before, that that you might want to continue, but you could also, I don't know, look for funding or whatever. So it doesn't matter at which stage you are. It's more about that you love getting together with inspiring people. Like Stefan and I are still friends and meeting from time to time, exchanging business thoughts and so on. And it was a really essential part in showing really high class, top notch things in Austin, in America, and worldwide. Bring it back to Austria and kind of contribute to the whole community. And I think this is also the essence.
That's awesome. Stefan, anything that you would add from cohort 2? What was your thinking going into the exchange experience?
Yeah, that's a very good question. And one thing that I can definitely say is that you really build a friendship there with the people that you're there, which is something that I didn't expect at the beginning. At the beginning, I just thought, oh, it will be some workshops. And only later I realized that the people you meet there, that's really the thing that has proven the most memorable for me. And when I went into it, I just had an interest in startups. I'd actually started my first company as I was very quite young, when I was 18, but that company had already shut down by that point. So at the time that I joined it, I was just studying. I was just studying in Vienna. And I thought, okay, I was interested in startups. Let's just check it out. It's free, so there's no risk there. And then only later on, I realized what a big influence it had on my life, and also on the startup that I founded now. Because actually the company that I founded or that I'm running right now, I founded right after Austria to Austin, and Austria to Austin was one of the main inspirations for me to actually get it going.
Oh man, that's amazing. Karim or Sophie?
Yeah, I can just echo what Stefan and Claudia said. It's definitely about the people. I actually also stumbled across applying. I was at WU at E&I. I think there's some people at SIMP from WU here today. And yeah, I was just really interested in entrepreneurship and innovation. And I thought, wow, great opportunity. I love this state, so why not go for it? And then actually, when I saw the application process, I was like, okay, this is legit, because I usually apply for multiple things. But then I was like, okay, it's like a 3-stage process. I don't know it's now, but back then it was. And I also really enjoyed the interviewing process, etc. So I was like, okay, this is going to be great. But it turned out to be mind blowing. Like, I don't want to get your hopes too high, but honestly, I think I speak for all of us. It really changed our lives.
Also same for me. I think everybody already said it, and it's so true. I mean, the people in the cohort you spent 2.5 weeks, 2 weeks in Austin. It's so amazing because you can really get to know each other and have some great experiences. And I think our cohort is still like at least once a month we get together and meet all together and have brunch or dinner. So that's a really cool thing. And then regarding my business, so we started the company already. I think we were 1.5 years already after we founded the company. But my co-founder and me, we were still studying and doing the business, I would say, part-time. And we were at this time at a stage where we really thought, okay, how can we make our product, our service big? And what Americans, I think, are really, really good in thinking very big, making it big and scaling very fast. So this was definitely also from the program one of my key takeaways. So if I look back, I mean, it's now 4.5 years back. So many things changed. We were only 2 founders. Now we're a team, international team, and a lot of changed since that. And yeah, A2A definitely played a big role in that journey. So thanks again.
Oh, I love it. I love hearing it and some of your insights. It sounds like so many of you, you know, had already been somewhat involved or were aware of, you know, entrepreneurship, innovation, those spaces. You'd had access to that before you applied, which is great and really exciting. What would you share with someone who doesn't have that experience? So I don't have an idea for a startup. I'm a leader. I'm very creative. I have general ideas. I've never worked for a startup team, and I'm not really maybe plugged into the Vienna scene or anywhere in Austria. Maybe what advice would you give to them or to be thinking about if they were interested in applying?
Well, maybe I can jump in here because at the time that I joined the program, I didn't have a startup at that moment. And while I was still plugged in into the startup scene a little bit, there were also a lot of people, part of our cohort where Claudia and I went, that didn't have a startup at the time. They were studying maybe biology, or they were designers, or they did something very different. And I think that's really that really made our group great, because we had so many different perspectives. So the biggest thing is, I think, if you haven't had any connection to the startup scene, don't be deterred. Still go there. You will see and meet so many interesting people. And by the end, you might say that startups aren't your thing, but that's not even if that's the case, that's not a problem, because you will have had a great time. And most people there, they learn a lot. And that entrepreneurial mindset, this mindset that I have an idea and I can do something with it, that is worth a lot, whether you use it in a startup or in a different kind of job. So I would tell everyone, whether you are already in the startup world or not, that it can actually be a great experience.
Yeah, it's kind of like an entrepreneurial Milky Way, see, like that. So it's there's so many possibilities out there, just being kind of an explorer or an interested person. And what Stefan just said, it's not about what you're actually doing, but more about your interest and what you want to do or whatever. So just go for it, whether it's like design, architecture, whatever. So that diversity of the group was just awesome.
What about the application? So I'm sure everyone that's joining this evening is interested, or perhaps has already submitted an application or thinking about it. And it is a rigorous process, right? You know, 3 steps, takes a lot of time and investment. What advice would you give to someone on their application? What should they be thinking about, you know, as they're filling that out?
Maybe, Karim, do you want to?
No, please. Go ahead.
To be honest, within our group, we were talking about it a lot because we were all really different characters. But I think the one thing that unites us was being genuine and being ourselves in the applications, like not faking or not pretending to know something you don't know. Like for me, I also didn't have a startup. I just had an idea. and I thought it was cool, and that was it. But don't over pretend, don't oversell yourself. Just be yourself, be natural, and I'm sure everyone has to offer something. So that's definitely something that, like, everyone has something going for him or herself, and that's also what 3DS is looking for. I feel like every member that is chosen is like chosen because of their idiosyncrasy. So I think what you don't have actually makes you special.
I totally agree with Sophie, and I maybe would add that you should try to communicate in a really honest way why you want to participate from the program, and what you think you can get out of it, and how you can benefit. So I think to make that really clear, then yeah, I think that then it shows your motivation. So showing your motivation and communicating why you want to go and why you can benefit from it is very essential.
That's excellent. So how do you think specifically what you learned through A2A, what you experienced during the exchange did change your perspective or your mindset? You know, what was the biggest growth for you out of that experience? And people have spoken a lot about the community, but for you as an individual, how do you think that you really grew through the experience?
Yeah, so I would say for me, the thing is, entrepreneurship and the US are so connected, right? As words. When you think about startups, you think about the United States, but that means also that there are a lot of misconceptions and a lot of, things where you don't really know what does it really mean to be an entrepreneur or to think in an entrepreneurial way. And that is one thing that really was very interesting for me, to meet founders there, to meet people and to meet mentors there, to actually see how are they doing it. And it's actually not so scary as you sometimes think. It's also not so easy as you sometimes think. But that was something for me where I also realized, and I mean, I think one of the important things is this connection, creating a connection between the United States and Austria. And right now, I feel like I have a much better grip on what it is like to start a business in the US, even though my business is here in Europe. But in the future, if you want to expand to the US, if you need to find some people, some experts in the US, you then already have a starting point where you can talk to people. And that might actually be very relevant for a lot of startups, especially startups facing global challenges or facing a very international market. So these are two things that for me personally were very, very helpful.
I think Austria to Austin is kind of this big candy store boot camp. So it's really intense, but there is so much you can experience. Like, as we've just heard from entrepreneurs, communities, co-working spaces, cultural stuff, etc. So there is so much you can like take or pack your suitcase, like your virtual one with all the knowledge. And this is just incredible, all the different aspects and people you meet. And just like Stefan mentioned, mentors. Maybe a great story I've actually never told in public, but when you are about to go to Austin, then 3DS is doing a great job with preparation and who do you want to meet, for example, as a mentor. And back then I was organizing TEDx talks in Vienna. So all of you might know TED Talks. So I was one of the leads in Vienna. So one of the huge things or great things you know in Austin is South by Southwest. So one of the biggest innovation conferences worldwide. So it's like, oh my God. So I did research and looked up who is the management board of South by Southwest and put their names into the form. So they should be like my kind of mentors, like totally crazy. And above all, things I could ever imagine. It's like, yeah, whatever, just put it in there. And then one of the directors really showed up there and was my mentor. And I was just so blown away. And I stayed in touch with him, and I came back to Austin twice after the program. And I was on the stage at South by Southwest, was moderating and so on and so forth. And, you know, he is like kind of best friends with Mark Zuckerberg and so on. And I was always writing him like being like super buddies and good friends. And he was so genuine, and I learned so much from him. And so it's just a great chance coming back to Austin, stay in touch with the ecosystem over there, and still have friends there, staying in touch. And so it's always great being back in the States and having such great opportunities I've never dreamed of before.
That's awesome. Just a reminder, we would love to take your questions in the chat. We have a question about the application stages, which I promise I will answer closer to the end of the session, Jana, so we'll get to that. But any questions from the audience that are coming up? Or also, Sophia, Aaron, Julia, anything that you all are thinking about?
I have a question. Oh, my camera's off. So, you know, one of the things that seems like the kind of connecting thread between all of you, and you're both in different cohorts, was the friendship. So that seems to be a very standout piece of this program. As far as Austin goes, what is the one, your favorite or your most memorable experience in Austin? Was it a concert? Was it Barton Springs? Was it the lake? What did you like the most about the city of Austin itself?
To be honest, I mean, we're all students or we're all young, and for me that would definitely be Rainy Street. I don't know if people are familiar with Rainy Street, but it's like this really long street with like full of pubs and just life. And yeah, we had amazing nights there. I mean, the program is tough. It's really tough. Like I think Claudia said it in the beginning, but still at night, you know, you want to do things and go out and have fun, and it was amazing. Honestly, there's so much life, there's so much yeah, good times. I can only recommend going there.
Same for me. And what came to my mind was we visited a Brazilian food truck. I don't know, it's a bit of off topic right now, but this was really good food, and he gave us such a inspiring background about his business. Like a couple of weeks ago, he was in LA and serving all the Hollywood stars food, and 1 week later he was in Austin, and we had a really easy chat with him, and the food was really good. And of course like 6th Street and Rainy Street, as Sophie mentioned.
If I may join in also with the network, this person, he actually, like, he claimed to know a lot of celebrities, and like we are connected on Instagram, and like we reply to stories, and he's like still kind of in my life. So that's really something that will never go away.
I love to hear all that. Yes, I will say the food trucks, the food, all really great. The landscape is very different now because of COVID, but I think of all of the places to survive, food trucks have done the best.
There's maybe one tiny story that I can share, because I remember there was one morning where a couple of guys from our group, we got up really early, just around sunrise, and we went down to the river to go paddleboarding, right? And we rented some paddleboards there, And because as Sophie said, the program is tough. You don't have that much time, or at least in our year, you know, there was a lot of programming, but it was amazing to kind of find these moments where you would just explore and adventure together. And that's also, you know, people talk about networking and meeting the right people, but you know, there you really build a group of friends, right? Because you spend such an intense time there. You have so many great experiences. And now just like looking at the people from my year, we have such strong connections, and even throughout over like between the years, so to speak, you know, Karim and I, we our companies, we work together, for example, and so there are all of these connections coming from that, and you really get to know the people there and get to know what they're about, and that's really exciting, and that usually doesn't happen. And so it's something very unique.
That is great to hear. Claudia, I don't know if you have anything to add about your Austin experience in particular. If you do, go ahead. If not, I know we have some questions in the chat.
Just one idea. Also, when you're preparing for the application or the conversations, it's like, imagine you're sitting in the plane back from Austin to Austria. What would be like the best outcome? Like Amazon does it, this reverse engineering. So what should be different after this program for yourself? Is it like having an idea, knowing more about methods, how to do, I don't know, customer discovery, whatever it is. So I just like this reverse engineering process. Just having it in your mind, like sitting back in the plane, what should be different for yourself? So having kind of a focus, what you want to do, because I said it's like a big candy store. So it's better having kind of a department you want to look into, because then you get even more out of it. Yeah.
That's wonderful. Thank you. Great advice to all. So I'm looking at the chat and it seems we have a few questions about the application. That is a great segue to move on to talking more specifics. But before we let go of these wonderful alumni, does anybody have any other questions about the experience itself, and maybe some questions about what to expect? If not, we can move into the applications, but now is your chance. Type it in the chat if you have any more questions for our alumni. And then Erica, I'll let you take it away from there.
Oh, so I'm seeing a challenge, a time when you were challenged or a challenging part of the exchange. I like this question. And also a follow-up question, and I appreciate this question, Sarah, because I was thinking about it too. What piece of the exchange did you learn the most from? So maybe a particular speaker, a particular workshop, a site visit, like a singular piece that was most impactful for you. So a challenge and an impactful piece.
Maybe I can start with the challenge. It was actually the plane flight to Austin, because I, as many of us, have big imposter syndrome, and I was like, no, I'm going to be so bad. Everyone is a startup. I'm the only one who doesn't have one. It's going to be terrible. They have pitches. I don't have one. So I was actually spending my entire plane ride there preparing a pitch deck for my idea, because I was so scared that I'll be a loser. But when I got there, I realized, okay, I was not the only one, you know, not everyone has a startup. And after
Sophie,
that,
do you think we would choose a loser? Come on. You were obviously selected for a reason. Have some faith in us. We have very good taste, apparently. Just
but yeah, so that was, but I think that's also normal for startup people. And yeah, I mean, after that, it was really great. And I realized that a lot of people had a lot of knowledge in different places, but not everyone obviously knew everything. And yeah, so my biggest learning would also, not learning, but my biggest takeaway from this entire thing was actually to have more confidence in myself. I mean, I know people can seem to be very confident, but personally speaking, I have a lot of areas where I'm very insecure. And I think that just gave like the group credibility, kind of like, I'm here with so many amazing people, like I'm amazing too, you know. So that was actually my biggest takeaway from that.
Regarding my challenge, we had a workshop about like business modeling and building product, and this was the time where I realized like everybody's writing about it, like this product market fit, found a product market fit, and yeah, there is a lot of good literally on the internet from Y Combinator, but in one workshop I really realized, okay, I think we didn't found product market fit, and I think we need to work more on our business model, and this was definitely one big challenge, and also a learning of it, because our in this workshop I got asked a lot of hard questions about my startup, I would say, which was great, because it made me think a lot about it, and to change a bit of the business model. So I would say back then we didn't have any scalable scalable solution. So this was definitely one big takeaway, to find product market fit and how important product market fit is. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe one thing for me, because that it wasn't, it only was mentioned a little bit. What was the most challenging part for me personally? Actually, it was kind of managing sleep, and because there was this whole program, and then you have so many amazing people around you, and you have an amazing city with amazing bars and amazing music, and there's nature, and I think Sophia, she mentioned Barton Springs right there, where you can go swimming, and so there was so much to do. And then at some point you realize, oh, I don't have enough time to sleep in between, but then you push through it, and I mean, it doesn't work for a long time, but for these, you know, weeks that we were over there, we all just tried to get the most out of it. But it was a bit of a challenge. And but they also have great cold brew coffee in Austin, so that also helps with that.
I've never heard the bit about great cold brew in Austin. Sophia, I don't know if you've heard that, but that's great. I'll take that away.
Oh yeah, it's everywhere. Cold brew, home brew, all over.
Is the best.
Well, so this is a question in the chat, and Stefan kind of alluded to it. But why don't I'm gonna have Kareem or Sophie take this. Can you walk us through a day in the life? So a single day of the exchange, what that potentially looked like, you know, as a range of activities from your experience.
Maybe Kareem, you go ahead, and I just add if I feel like.
Okay. I think we woke up quite early at 7 in the morning, and then prepared everything. And at 8 there was we walked to the co-working space, and typically we started, I think, at 8:30 and had the first part of the program. It was either a mentorship program or a talk about finding the right business model, finding product market fit, a crash course about how to build a product. So this was, yeah, typically, I think, until 12:30. Then we had a really good lunch always, or maybe until 1. And after that, sometimes we had personal meetings with our mentors, like where we discussed in one-on-one mentorship sessions, things about, in my case, about my business, about my product, maybe about hiring. So this was really cool. And then typically after the mentorship session, we had often experienced entrepreneur joining us, like who built already a startup, or who is scaling successfully his startup, and he giving us input, and like it was kind of a fireside chat, I would say, with an entrepreneur who runs a big company in Austin or in the US. Or we did a company visit. So we visited Facebook, and yeah. Would you like something to add, Sophie?
We were also at Oracle, for example. That was also very nice. Or at Whole Foods, because I think the first original Whole Foods is located in Austin. Yeah, so that's basically it. And then we also had dinner. But maybe to give that some kind of structure, the first 3 days, also 3-day startup, was this intense training, mentoring, coaching. And I don't know if it's still like that, but we had a pitch session at the end of those 3 days, where we had like investors come in and give us fake money. And Lucas Kraft, he's actually here. I think he won that. He was also with us in the
he won it.
And yeah, so that's a lot of fun. And what we also had was networking afterwards. So there were organized networking events, and you really learn a lot with that. Like you're thrown into the cold water. There's like a lot of really interesting people, and you just need to pitch your idea and pitch yourself. And other than that, I think Kareem really did a good job in explaining the day. And I think after that, latest we got home was like, I think 9 from the all the events. I mean, you're dead after that, because you're always thinking, taking notes, trying to connect, LinkedIn, mentor talks, etc. And after that, we usually also still had a drink. I mean, we were at a really nice hostel. And there was a bar, so we always ended up at the bar. But also we went to Rainy Street or 6th Street and had a drink there, and then next day repeat. So yeah, that was basically a typical day. Oh, and important to mention, if you're taken, you will be in groups, obviously. Before that, you know who will go with you if you want to. And I think all of us highly recommend that. Plan a trip afterwards. If you have time, you have the visa, like you can, I mean, I think with COVID, everything is different with COVID, obviously, but if you can, try to go places, try to see it. It's worth so much, especially after having been into such intense week with amazing people. It's the cherry on top.
I can definitely second that, what Sophie just said, because there is the organized part of the program, but even like during your weeks with the program, you will have some chance to organize your own things. For example, in our program, we didn't have a trip to Facebook planned, but someone from our group just met someone at Facebook, and then we organized the trip to Facebook ourselves, right? And so that's one of the really cool things when you're there, and when you're a group of really active and motivated people, you can organize whatever you want yourself, right? And then afterwards, some of our group, they went on to travel to California, or I went on to travel to New Orleans because I love jazz music. And so all of us, or most of us, we extended the trip a little bit. And of course, now with the COVID restrictions, it might be a bit different, but nonetheless, I was in the US this summer and traveled around a bit, and it's a great time even now to experience a lot of nice things there. So that's definitely something I think we all can recommend. Yeah.
And 3DS and the embassy are doing a great job also, that you're meeting beforehand, so you know who you're traveling with, or also afterwards. So being invited to the embassy from time to time, or getting together at certain spots, or like organizing it our own. But it's always also nice coming together with the different cohorts. So I think this is one of the best things, also being informed afterwards what's going on, which programs are happening. So this is also really beneficial.
All right, before we we get over to logistics, any last words of encouragement to anybody, Sophie, with the imposter syndrome, to anybody that has multiple opportunities this summer? What would you say to encourage folks about A2A?
Maybe I can go first again. As you already mentioned, I'm imposter syndrome. I didn't think I was going to make it. I did. So if you have second thoughts about it, or if you think you're not enough, do it, still do it, try it. And if you fail, do it again, because that's also exactly the mentality that you will learn there and that will keep you going eventually. And for me, for example, I was also considering going to Alpbach, which plenty of you probably know, Alpbach. I didn't do it. I would never, ever swap those kind of experiences. Go for it, try it. The worst thing that can happen is that you apply the year after. And yeah, I'm sure you're all a really great candidates. And like I said, it changed my life. I'm working now with Christoph Tockner, who was also with me in the cohort. He's the CEO now, and we kind of built this company together. So I was in a core team, and also, I mean, pretty personal, but my partner now, Lukas Kraft, was also with me, my cohort, who is also sitting here. So when I said in the beginning, it changed my life, it actually really changed my life.
Yeah, also for me, I mean, I think everybody said it, or again, one of the best experiences so far in our life. And definitely apply. I can't motivate you, or please do it. And as Sophie said, if you don't make it this year, apply for the next year or in 2 years. So I have a good friend who went last summer to the A2A program, and he applied before that 2 times. And then on the third application, he got finally in. So just apply, and good luck for you all. And I think what's important to state in the application is to communicate your honest feeling why you want to go to the US and how you can benefit of it. So I think this makes a really good application out.
Absolutely. It doesn't matter if you're introvert, extrovert, have an idea or not, just do it. Especially also women. So we, I'm just saying that. So it's so important having a diverse group, whatever your background is, and you will make the most out of it. So and connect with us. Doesn't matter if it's on LinkedIn, Instagram, and so on. And if you have further questions, reach out.
Yeah, and I think just like Claudia said, no matter what your background is, in our year, we had so many different people, architects, designers, people that were studying biology, people that were studying business administration, people that were doing programming, like all over the place. But so no matter what your background is, I think this can be a great experience for you, and don't hesitate.
That is wonderful. Let's do one thing before we close out and we talk about some details. Let's give emojis, claps, thumbs up, hoorays, thank yous in the chat to these awesome alumni. I hope that you're able to connect with them and talk with them further. And thank you for sharing your time with us this evening to share about your experience. It really means a lot to us. Oh yeah, I love the emojis. We're seeing you're getting lots of love. All right, let's move on. There are some logistical questions. We have all those noted, and so we're going to get to those now. And I have a little bit on the screen to share. So a lot of these questions are about application details. So these are the details that we have right now. So the age range for this round of applications is 20 to 25. If at any point that changes, there will be communications for that, but right now that's the application age range. And you need to be an Austrian citizen or long-term resident. We do have a question about university enrollment. It is targeted for students, and it's named the Student Startup Exchange. But could I have Aaron or Julia chime in on enrollment requirements?
Julia is no longer here. Sorry, I don't mean to. Erin, do you want to go first?
Do you want to take this one, Karin? Would that be okay?
Yes. Yes, I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
First of all, I have to excuse Julia. She had to join another Zoom call, so she had to excuse herself. She's no longer on this call. To be honest, frankly, if you wouldn't mind reiterating the question, I think it was about student enrollment. Yes, it is called a student exchange program, and that's what we are looking for. You know, it's, I think the poster says, and the application material says, you know, students of Austrian universities and Fachhochschulen are eligible to apply. Does that answer the question?
It does. It does. Thank you very much, Karin, for jumping in there on the fly. Our first deadline is January 17th. Some of you may have already applied to meet the priority deadline, so that means your application is under review now, but that deadline is January 17th, and should that ever change, again, there will be communications, so you can check the website, you can check, a great place to get information is the embassy's LinkedIn page. They do a great job communicating about their programs on the LinkedIn page, so follow them there. And we have the link to kind of a little website for A2A and links to the application. That hyperlink is on the page right here.
Can I step in here just quickly, Erica?
Yes.
You're right. First deadline is January 17, but we have always sort of considered this as a sort of a softer deadline, and January 24, and we're communicating to that fact shortly, to be January 24 to be the final deadline. So people will have an extra week beyond the original deadline.
Wonderful. Okay. That concludes our fireside chat perfectly at 1 hour. Thank you again for everybody joining us. Thank you, alumni. Thank you.
Can I just sorry, interrupt? One quick question. You have to apply with a video too, and my co-founder and I obviously have the same problem and the same solution. So can we do this video together, or does each person need to submit an?
Great question. You will apply as individuals. So you may apply to participate in the exchange as an individual, and your co-founder may also apply as an individual.
Okay, so we cannot do that together. So it
correct.
Needs
you may not apply as one person for 2 seats in the exchange.
Okay. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Can I ask you something as well?
Sure.
It's because you said you have to be an Austrian citizen, and the fact is that I'm studying in Austria, but I'm a German citizen. Is that possible as well for me to apply, or?
Do you want me to take this? You have to be a long-term resident. So it's basically, if you're here studying for a semester or a year, that's a short-term resident. But if you're here pursuing a full degree, or you're planning to stay in Austria after you finish your degree, that can be considered, as far as I understand.
Okay, great. Thank you. And a second this question would be, where can I apply? Because I haven't found anything on the website, or is there a special platform, or?
There should be a button that says apply here.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Thank you to all for joining us. This is recorded, so if you know of someone that wasn't able to meet this evening, we'll have this posted to the website so more individuals can have access to it. Feel free to share it with them, or of course you can rewatch it because it was a wonderful conversation. If that's what you'd like to do. Send any questions that you have regarding the application to programs@3daystartup.org. That is listed also on the application, and we're happy to help you one-on-one as you continue to apply or have questions about what 2022's program will look like, right? Thank you again. Have a wonderful evening. Everyone have a good rest of the week. And we look forward to working with you through this process.